The St. Louis County Police Department has served its community through the most turbulent decades. In the high-pressure career of law enforcement, the mental well-being of those who serve in this profession is often overlooked. It's for this reason that in 2021, the St. Louis County Police Department announced the creation of a new wellness unit. And Lieutenant Scott Roach is one of the driving forces behind this. In 1994, he began his career as a police officer in North County. In 2011, he was promoted to sergeant and quickly saw a need of his officers that wasn't being met.
I saw a side of our employees that I didn't realize existed, which is basically employees that need help, that needed general wellness help, some mental health assistance. So I found myself teaching officers, especially the officers that in my charge, how to use the EAP. And once they started using it, they realized how effective it was and how helpful it was.
According to Health Psychology Research's study on mental health and public safety, first responders have twice the prevalence of PTSD and depression and are associated with a lower quality of life than the general population. Lieutenant Roach was faced with this crisis in his everyday work. After facilitating and attending a conference about wellness and law enforcement, he came across some inspiration that would help him cultivate this new unit.
And one of the specific things that we talked about was how to make a notification of a horrible incident. So we call it the knock. When we have to go to somebody's house, knock on their door, and give them the worst news they're ever going to hear in their life, which is, maybe a loved one was killed in a crash or something like that. And we talked about what kind of effect does that have on the officer that made that notification? Because again, people sometimes think we're robots and we can make that notification and get back in our car and go to dinner, and that's absolutely not true. So we brought in an expert from the East Coast, from the Connecticut State Police. His name is Sergeant Troy Anderson, and he educated us on how we can better serve ourselves and stay resilient after making that sort of a notification.
Working in law enforcement requires not just physical strength, but a large mental capacity as well. From traffic patrol to petty or violent crime, a lot of resilience is needed for officers to serve their communities. But nothing would prepare St. Louis police for what they would face in the summer of 2014. On August 9th, civil unrest began after the officer-involved shooting death of Mike Brown in the St. Louis County town called Ferguson.
Well, that morning we were at an incident in South County. I don't remember what it was. It was either a barricaded subject or something that our tactical operations unit was dealing with. Well, then later that day, we get the call that something had happened in Ferguson, and we didn't know what it was. And we just were told to be at a specific location. We were there at a command post, and that kind of led into, I forget how many, 16 consecutive days or whatever it might be, that we were on scene and what you saw.
Tensions grew thicker between everyone on the ground, both law enforcement and protesters. But there were many officers on the front line whose mission was also to listen to the people and try their best to bridge the gap. One of them was Lieutenant Colonel Gerald Lohr.
I think what happened in 2014 in the city of Ferguson was really just kind of an eye-opening moment to address a lot of the societal issues that we've been neglecting to address. It exposed a lot of the warts that we have in American society. So we want to talk about educational disparity, socioeconomic disparity, geographical disparity, racism. Ferguson exposed those things. And while a lot of the attention got thrust upon law enforcement because it was a law enforcement event, the reality is the conversations that started because of that were much greater in nature. And I think ultimately has probably helped change the way that we view each other. It's probably helped improve our communities. And again, none of these things change quickly. Change takes time. And to have realistic expectations, we're making generational change, and that should be the long-term goal. We tell officers, understand the ripple effect that you have. Every interaction has a ripple effect. So when you meet one person, you have the ability to change that one person's life, but understand that you have the ability to change a community too.
And according to Lieutenant Roach, the ability to change a community starts with self-care.
We want you to be the best version of yourself. As a citizen, I would want an officer coming to my house to investigate a crime to be the best version of themselves. But we know that's not 100% going to, because life, right? I mean, we all have something going on. So we teach them how to be resilient. We teach our employees how to deal with mental health issues and how to navigate the resources that are available to them.